Hey folks, my name is James and welcome to my channel, Beginner Guitar Tips and Tricks. Um, Real briefly what this channel is about, and I really wanted to create something for beginner guitar players who were who were sort of struggling through the initial, technical theory part of things. I remember it got really monotonous to the point where I just wanted to make something that sounded cool. But I stuck with it, and this was over 50 years ago, where plugged through until my lesson started showing me how to make cool sounds. But I also remember being very frustrated that I never was actually making cool sounds in the beginning, as much as I wanted to. So what I wanted to do was create a channel here where I make a brief video on one particular topic. Uh, Sort of tell you what it is. I won't get into deep theory. If you're a beginner guitar player, you're going to learn this eventually anyway. If you're watching this and you're an intermediate, advanced, or pro player, you already know this stuff. But this, as I say, is for beginner players to learn some little cool tips and tricks that they can use while practicing their theory and working on that, getting bored, getting frustrated, and just need to step aside from that for a moment and play something cool. So that's what these videos are more or less about. That and some sort of tips and pointers as well. Now, this particular video could be a life changer for many, definitely a game changer. But it is something that it's a massive uh, technique that it's almost unlimited in what it covers. But obviously, for beginners, we're going to cover this at a very beginner level. What it's called is quite simple: shapes. That's it, shapes. When you play guitar, especially if you're playing a chord, you're making a shape. Your fingers form a shape. For example, most beginner guitar players, you've probably already learned the D chord, or you're learning it now, or you're about to. So we'll do a basic standard D chord. You got your strings 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. That's nice. A little trebly, but that's okay. Now, what I want you to do is you've strummed that. You've recognized that, okay, you're playing the fourth string open. Third string, playing the second fret. Second string, third fret. First string, second fret. That's your D chord. What I want you to do, though, keep your hands in position. Take your pick, but do not strum the open fourth string. I know that's the root, that's what makes it a D chord, but we're going to ignore that right now because shapes, there's no rules. There's just, this is what, go do stuff, see what sounds cool, and then keep doing that. So what we're going to do is take our pick and just strum strings 3, 2, and 1. Only the strings that we have fretted, that our fingers are pressing down on. Sounds still like a D chord, just not as full. Obviously not, we're taking away one note. That's all 4 strings, that's 3 strings. But we're only playing the strings that we're fretting. Now, what I want you to do is look at the shape that your fingers are currently in, sitting on the second and third fret. See it? Very standard. If you've been playing a D chord for any length of time, you know that's pretty automatic. Now, what I want you to do is take that entire shape, everything exactly as it is, and slide it up 1, 2, 3 frets. So now your index finger and your middle finger are on the 5th fret. Your ring finger is on the 6th fret. Exact same format as your standard D chord, but you're not in the same spot. But you've moved the whole shape somewhere else. Now what I want you to do, make sure you're fretting it firmly so that the notes will ring out. I want you to take your pick and strum just the strings we're fretting. So strings 3, 2, 1. Now move it up to the 7th fret, the whole thing. Move it up 2 frets. There we are. Same deal. Just strum the 3 strings you're fretting. Now go back to the 2nd fret where you originally were playing your D. And again, we're only strumming the strings that we are fretting, 1, 2, and 3. Now if we put all that together, we didn't change our finger positions at all. But we came up with a pretty cool sound. Almost a little riff. Something that you can play around with and see, wow, that sounds all right. I wonder how that would sound with distortion if we're trying to do a mellow way of doing it. Let me hit that. Let's hear that. What do you think? Now, that's just the D shape. And you're moving it. You can move it anywhere you want. Keep the fingers in the exact same D position. If you get somewhere up in the fretboard and you get lost and your fingers get mixed up and you can't remember exactly what to do, go back and just build your D chord again. Build it back to a regular D chord, 4 strings, then drop the 4th string and just do the 3 strings you're fretting and move it. That's the D shape. The world of shapes is endless. But, like I said, as a beginner, we're going to work on just a few of the shapes that you probably already know. Because as you advance through guitar playing, you're going to discover a million different shapes that you can do the same thing with. Move that shape somewhere else and get a different sound, but an equally pleasant sound. So, next we're going to look at is the A chord. And again, as a beginner, you either already have learned this, you're learning it now, or you're just about to learn it. So as you know, with the A chord, we utilize 5 strings. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. But we only use 1 fret, the 2nd fret. So we'll take strings 1, 2, and 3, and we'll put finger 1, the index finger, on the 4th string, D, but we'll position it on fret 2. Then the next string over, middle finger, fret 2. Next string, ring finger, fret 2. So they're all 3 crammed into that 1 fret. And we strum strings 5 through 1. There's your A chord. Nice full A chord. I like it. What I'm going to show you now are 2 different things. We're going to look at the A shape, but first we're going to change how we play that A shape. Because sometimes you can do the row of 3s, your fingers 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes you can switch it around and you'll take your middle finger and index finger and swap them so you're now in a triangle. Still all in the same fret, still an A chord, but different ways to finger the same chord. But I want to show you a little trick that you see bands like AC/DC will do. They'll play a chord, but they'll shorten it or make it a little smaller, quicker, easier to play. I'm going to show you how to do that with an A chord. And then I'm going to show you how to move it. So just take your index finger. That's all you're going to need for this. Place it across the 2nd fret with your fingertip on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Much like you would when you're, say, fingering the full A chord. But we're only going to use your index finger. Now, I know your lessons all teach you play with your tip. Here we're going to change that. I want you to lay that finger across. Sort of like that, if you can see. No gaps between the finger and the fretboard. you only want to cover strings 4, 3, and 2. Now, the first string, you probably will have it muted, which is good. That's what you want. What we're going to do here is much like we did with the D. We're only going to play the fretted notes. There are 2 open strings on an A chord. Obviously, the 5th string, the A string, which is the root, which makes that an A chord. And, of course, the high E string down there, the nice high pitch to sort of round out the chord. And in full, it's a nice, beautiful full chord. But it's not that easy and convenient to take that shape of an A chord and move it somewhere else where you're going to try and cram it into a little fret space. So, as I just showed you, take your index finger, lay it across strings 4, 3, 2, and don't worry if you're muting the first string. You want to do that anyway. Because much like the D chord that we moved, in that we only strummed the strings that we were fretting, regardless of what open strings may have been in a D chord. Same with this A. But now, if you've noticed, I'm just holding one finger across all those second frets that we once had 3 fingers crammed into. The only problem with doing this, if you're trying to play a full A chord, you lose the high E because it's being muffled by this finger. That's okay. You can do that depending on what song you're playing or what kind of music you choose to play. You're getting creative. Guitar is a science, but it's also an art. So be creative. Don't feel you got to stick to the rule. An A chord can only be like this. You can get creative with it. We're going to lay the index finger across 2nd fret, strings 4, 3, and 2. We're not going to play string 1. We've got that muted. We're not going to play the open A string, which obviously is the root for that chord, as I mentioned earlier. We're just going to play the strings we have fretted. So strings 4, 3, and 2. And one finger holding all of them down. So. Now here's a full A chord. Beautiful. Here's what we've just done for the 3-string A chord. Sounds very similar, right? Not quite as full, obviously, because we removed 2 strings from the format, but still similar. So we're still getting that A vibe. Now what I want you to do is do that with that one finger. This makes it really easy by doing it with one finger. So just play each string individually. 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. Then strum them. Now move them. You're on the 2nd fret. Take them. From there, go to the 5th fret. Same deal. Only strum the strings you're fretting. So string 4, 3, and 2. Now move that to the 7th fret. Now move it all back to the 2nd fret. Back to your A. Now, what you did there is you've created mini chords or subchords just by playing with one finger and then forming your bass for an A chord and moving it. Just moving that whole configuration, which is essentially one finger, 3 strings. See, that's all I did. One finger, 3 strings, moved it from 2nd fret to 5th fret to 7th fret, back to 2nd, then even went open, all of them, and put it back down on the 2nd fret. So that's an A shape, what you can do with it. Let's see how that sounds with some distortion, if we can metalize that. How's this sound? Think that sounds all right? So there, mess around with that. Showed you the D shape. Showed you the A shape with one finger. You're only going to move the shape where you are actually fretting strings. This works best if all the fretted strings are together. Like with the A, you've got string 4, 3, and 2. They're all fretted together side by side. That makes it much easier. You don't have to flip over something and to cover up one string that should be open that's right in the middle. Also with the D chord, so there was things 3, 2, and 1. They're easy and they're together. Now, I've shown you the D chord and then what to do with the D shape and how to move it, both with clean tone and distortion. And I also showed you an A chord and then the A chord with one finger in order to be able to make it a shape that is easily movable anywhere on your fretboard. All the way up here. 12th fret, 15th fret, 17th. You can move that shape anywhere you want as long as you don't change the positioning of the finger and the strings that you're fretting. Just take the shape and move it around. Now, there are, as I said, millions of shapes. You're a beginner, you're starting out. We started it out fairly easy. A basic chord that you learn in the beginning. How to make it simply just the shape by eliminating any open strings, only strumming the fretted strings, and then take the exact shape how it is and move the entire thing up 2, 3 frets, 4 frets. Now just imagine how many other shapes are out there. If you want, you can experiment with an E chord, the E major chord if you've learned that, the open E. And again, you have strings that are together. Drop any open strings, only strum strings that are fretted, and ideally, at least in the beginning, try to stick with strings that are side by side, with no open string in between that you have to overcome. Now, I'm going to touch on one other thing here that's sort of involved in the shape world as well. I'm going to hit some distortion. I'm going to do this a little heavier, a little louder, even though this isn't my metal guitar, obviously. Those are. But I'm going to throw the distortion on here. I'm going to try a different shape, one you may or may not know. What that was the same shape being moved up and down the fretboard. Didn't change any fretting, any note positions. The whole shape was just held in one spot. Then the whole shape moved together to another spot, just like the D chord and the A chord that we just discussed. I'm not going to tell you what that is. That'll be for another video. Well, okay. It's a power chord. You may already know these. If you don't, it'll be the next thing that'll change your life. So play around now with some shapes. Some shapes you know, some shapes you'll try different ideas. Put them together, move them around up and down the fretboard and see what you can come up with. Because I'm not going to tell you how to identify the name of a chord when you've moved it. Suffice to say, this is a D. Turn off the distortion. D only fretted fingers. Move it up 2 frets. It's an E, another fret. It's an F. Different F and different E than you're used to playing, but that would be the identity of them. You'll figure all that out when you understand steps and half steps. And again, like I said, this isn't about theory. This is about showing you something cool that sounds cool, that's fun, and when you're going through your lessons and you're practicing your theory, Please do that. But then when you get frustrated, take a break, mess around with something you've seen in one of these videos. Mess around with shapes. Use the shapes that we just covered here. Other chords you may know, other shapes you might want to try. Experiment with it. Another thing I'm going to work on with you in another video that you could even throw into these, and if you know them, do them. If you don't, wait to the video. They're called double stops. But for now, take what you saw here. If you like the video, please click the like button. If you enjoy the content that I'm creating in these videos for you and you'd like to see more, please hit the subscribe button. It really does go a long way for content creators like myself to continue putting out more content for you. Excuse me. And yes, obviously it can help as far as monetization goes, but that's a long, long way from this ever being monetized. It's got to be a gazillion of you all interacting almost all at the same time. But if nothing else, I'm sharing something with you to help you enjoy your time with your guitar. Learn your theory, that it's going to help you to excel as your knowledge grows. But mess around with the stuff in my videos too, because that's what's going to make you smile. That's what's going to make you have fun. And when the theory gets boring and the practicing gets boring, mess around with shapes. Have some fun with that and see what you think. Also, if you find that this video could help someone you know, please feel free to share it with them. Or if you have any questions or comments, throw them in the comment section. Love to see them. Do everything I can to respond to you. But on that note, I may go now and work on another video for you. Thanks for watching.